This is my HPI Savage X 4.6 big block. Has this ripped apart for normal maintenance. It's a good running truck. It's a dirty machine to run. If you keep the motor running rich, it pumps a lot of smoke out of the exhaust, and it's very sticky. I have a piece of hose hooked to the outlet tip on the tune pipe. Because of the way it sits stock, it blew all the oil onto the brake discs, and then you'd have no brakes. And at 60 miles an hour, whoops, at 60 miles an hour, it's important that you have brakes. There's the red brake discs there up in the hub for the rear drive shaft. Now what looks like the nut on the back of the motor is a one-way bearing. A common problem that I discovered after owning this vehicle was that this little doodad right here, which is the one-way starter backing plate. This is the external cover. Here's the backing plate itself with the starter gear and the ring gear, which has a hexagonal slot that drives that one-way bearing. This plate will vibrate loose about every 3 to 5 tanks of fuel off of the back of the engine. So therefore, about every 3 full tanks of fuel, I have to split the truck, pull the rear differential out, and clean that all out and tighten it up. I've actually had to buy a new Roto-Start back plate due to the fact that I got loose and stripped its holes. It's about $20. That 2 hours of maintenance can save you. This truck holds 150 milliliters of fuel. It's good for about 25 minutes of hard run. This particular truck, as you can see the discoloration on the exhaust manifold and on the actual cylinder, the bottom of the cylinder head, has a lot of hours on it. Still very strong. Still probably pumping out close to the 3 horsepower that it's rated for. Pulls wheelies, slides down the road on its roof a lot if you're not careful with it. It's been a tough truck. It's the toughest RC truck I've ever bought, but it's expensive, probably about $15 a trip to operate when you factor in the cost of normal maintenance. And here's the rear differential out of the truck, which has a steel diff pop, steel spider gears, and it has an alloy, heavy-duty alloy ring gear on it. They're just a limited slip differential. As you'll notice, they are turning in opposite directions as I turn the pinion. Now in here is 4 sealed roller bearings, 2 on the axle outputs and 2 onto the pinion itself. And there are 4 bearings on each wheel down inside the drive hub. I learned the hard way that these bearings have to be replaced at a maximum of 10 hours of run. 23 bearings in this truck have all been replaced more than once. And it's showing signs of wear. But I'm not the easiest operator with this vehicle. I've got a lot of flack from my friends complaining that I brake it too much, but I didn't buy it to baby it. I launch it and jump it 10, 12 foot of air, 20 foot of run before it lands, which is no good for 55 weight shock. Oil blows, the shock tubes will explode. So today we're going to clean up the Roto-Start back plate, clean it all up, clean out the one-way bearing, flush it out with a little bit of nitro fuel, let it dry, clean it off with a little solvent around the bolt holes, get any oil out of the threads. Going to apply some blue Loctite and put it back together. I expect many people to comment to use red or green Loctite because the motor runs at 250 degrees Fahrenheit on a hot day, 220 on a cool day for optimal performance. But my only problem with that type of Loctite is If you use that type of Loctite and for some reason you have motor failure and it will not start and you need to get that backing plate off, you can't get it off without excessive heat that will ruin your motor and eat the O-rings. There's no crank seals in this motor like a normal motor, just a rubber O-ring. And when that starts leaking, it'll lean out, and that'll probably be the end of the engine. But for now, until I get this cleaned up and put back on, here's a short look at an HPI Savage X. It's all tore apart. There's the fuel tank, the rear control arms, wheels, dog bone axle shafts. The body of this truck, as you can see, has a little wear. Those holes in the tailgate of the truck are from wheelies. With the wheelie bar, this truck likes to flip over and slide on its roof. And it is one mean machine.